It's not surprising. I think Kyrie is probably, if there was like a yearbook, he would be most likely to not get vaccinated. That would be his distinction. But like, I don't know.
Let me put you on game.
To get into it, we have an interesting situation going on in both New York, Brooklyn specifically, and in San Francisco with the Golden State Warriors, with Mr. Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving. Due to both of their refusals to get vaccinated, Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving could both miss all of the home games for their respective franchises due to San Francisco and New York health orders requiring people attending large indoor activities to be vaccinated. And the NBA recently reviewed and denied Wiggins's request for religious exemption from the order. It is estimated that going into the season, around 90% of players are vaccinated. So with all of these things in mind, what are your thoughts on the situation going on with Andrew and with Kyrie?
I want to be sensitive because as much as it's easy to make fun of these guys, there is a very strong feeling from people who don't want to get the vaccine because of all the noise that's really around the whole vaccine issue and all the theories and scares of like microchips being in the vaccine, it affecting your fertility, you becoming impotent, as Nicki Minaj noted, which proved to be untrue a couple weeks ago, or somehow it linking you to the whole 5G network and turning you into a zombie, even though your phones already do that. There's a lot of and other legitimate scares. People have heard other people that get like myocarditis, which is something that does happen, but it's still very rare. Along with them thinking that the vaccine is going to alter their DNA, which it doesn't, and it's really gotten to a point where I don't blame some people who are choosing really hardline stances where they're even willing to let their job fire them. I know people that have gotten fired because they've said like they just don't want to get the vaccine, even though they've gotten COVID, et cetera, et cetera. And so I don't feel like making fun of these individuals is the best way to get them into compliance.
You say that as you laugh.
Because it's ironic in some ways because, I feel like a lot of people are willing to put a lot of stuff in their body and do a lot of things for their lives and their careers. But when it comes to the vaccine, they're saying, no, I don't want to, I don't want someone else to make me do anything that I don't want to do, et cetera. You have some of these athletes that are willing to go through whatever lengths to get their knees situated, their ankles healed, give me whatever injection, stem cell, this, cryotherapy, that, in order to get their body right. But when it comes to getting the vaccine, they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to trust the doctors. The same doctors that are willing to fillet your knee open in order to repair your ACL, who are recommending the vaccine, you're also not going to actually listen to them. So it's like in this situation. So I got mixed feelings, but I rather spit them the facts as opposed to shaming them into it,
I understand what you're saying, but like all of the things that you listed just now as reasonings for people not wanting to get the vaccine sound ridiculous. like even just we didn't talk about the Nicki Minaj thing, but just the whole idea of her cousin's friend's testicles being the reasoning behind why she didn't get the vaccine is just, it's a level of confidence in mistruths that I think is almost admirable, because to create that level of distance between you and the situation, like especially when you talk about like it's not your friend, it's your cousin's friend in Trinidad. So to create that level of distance from this lie, basically, which I don't think there's any doubt that it's a lie, and then have the prime minister have to go through checking that amongst all of his other like daily duties is just hilarious. But to get back to the NBA stuff, it's not surprising. I think Kyrie is probably, if there was like a yearbook, he would be most likely to not get vaccinated. That would be his distinction. But like, I don't know. It does put these players in this position where I almost have to ask them, how badly do they really want to win? Because that's kind of what the players are preaching when we talk about these narratives that we surround these sports stars with, where they're talking about their desire to win and win at all costs, but it's like win at all costs except for a vaccine that's been proven to be effective and helpful in a year and a half long pandemic that we've all been dealing with. So it's just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen with Andrew Wiggins because training camp starts on Tuesday. So he's not going to be able to be working out with the team. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's really willing to draw this hard line in order to just keep his stance alive and miss 41 games essentially.
Yeah, same with Kyrie.
Yeah.
It's endlessly fascinating. I mean, Kyrie continues to be an enigma, whose reasoning doesn't always make the most sense, especially because sometimes he's very cryptic. Thinking back to like just the LeBron days and him being an off the ball player and him wanting his own team, all of a sudden to then realize I want to go to a Brooklyn Nets team where I'm the best served player if I play off the ball. The way his like rationale,
Process works. Yeah.
his process and what he's willing to accept later that he's not willing to accept now. It's like it has to be on his terms, I guess. And this is just another one of those situations. And between him and Wiggins and the fact that they might miss so many of these games, it's kind of it is what it is, I guess. Hopefully someone, and you know what, the jury's still out. Maybe he might change his mind. Training camp is around the corner. And who knows?
Maybe he might be forced to do it. I don't think he's changing his mind. He's definitely still he could have that vaccine in the system and still be very anti-vax. He just might not be anti-money. so,
yeah, those, he's getting like 400,000 a game. So it'll be interesting to see if he's willing to forfeit those checks or what that contract looks like, if there's some kind of COVID exception.
Yeah. I mean, as crazy as it is, it's still better than a Nicki Minaj thing. That's crazy. Insane. Yeah. But I mean, I got love for Kyrie. I think as confusing as he is, I do think Kyrie's a good dude. But yeah, I do have to question and wonder what goes on in his head sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with. They're not the only players in the NBA that obviously aren't vaccinated. There's still 10% to go, I think. But it'll be interesting to see how the story develops going into training camp.